I'm going to show you how to take this dirty old FE 390 engine into that. Now this was all done in frame. I reused the valve covers, sandblasted those, painted them, got rid of a lot of vacuum lines, got rid of the EGR valve that was in the back there, some miscellaneous hoses here and there. And we started with the Edelbrock Performer intake. Once we removed the old carb and all the lines and everything, we got down to the intake and started from there and worked our way back up. Watch the rest of this video and hopefully it helps you with the intake install. Okay, so we have our distributor out of there, we've got the carb off of there, have all our vacuum hoses off. Now on this particular engine, you have to take the valve covers off like I mentioned before, and we have to pull all of our push rods out of there because the push rods run through the intake under the valve cover. So that's our next step now. Remove the valve covers, pull all the push rods out. Okay, now we have everything off the intake. We got all of our intake bolts out. We got the valve covers out. Now your next step before you go and pull that intake off, you're going to need a box, any kind of box or something to lay the push rods on. And you're going to label it. We got our front left, front right. They're facing the engine like this. We're going to take all these rocker arms off. We got to take all these bolts off, and then we're going to take off this whole arm, pull each push rod out one at a time, and then set it in your box where it goes. You don't want to mix those up. Okay, we got the rocker arms all loose. All of our bolts are all loose and ready to pull this out. We're just going to leave our bolts in there and pull this all out together, just like that, one piece, and then go set this aside. And then we're going to pull all your push tubes out and put them in that box that I showed you to mark before, and put them in order so you know where they go back, one at a time. Shove them through there. Okay, so we got all of our push rods out and everything ready. We're ready to remove the intake, and depending on your model, whatever you got, this has a heater on it, so I can't get this push tube out. So I'm going to take it out with the intake. And then you're just going to have to remember when you're going back together, you need to stick this push tube in the intake while you're putting it, setting it back on the engine. Now I already did some prying, so I got the intake loose, but this one's been on there for a long time, so it was really tough to break free, but it's gonna be super heavy. Okay, we got the intake out of there, and it is super heavy, so make sure you have somebody helping you, or a cherry picker or something to lift that thing out of there. And once you got it all out of there, get all your loose gaskets off, the heads, the block here, and then clean that all up, get it all cleaned up, buff it. Now you have all your gasket surfaces and the valley all cleaned out. You're ready to dry fit the manifold, just to make sure everything lines up before you go placing the gaskets on there and torquing everything down. So here we go. Okay, so we're gonna place the intake on there. There we go, and you're just setting it on there, no gaskets, anything like that. And what we're gonna do now is go get a push rod, make sure it lines up. Just any push rod, it doesn't matter, just grab one of them and we'll stick it through each hole, make sure it lines up. We'll grab our distributor, make sure that lines up in the hole, and then we can go and put our gaskets in there if everything looks good. Okay, I just went and grabbed the push rod. I'm just gonna stick it in each one of these holes to make sure that they all line up all right. You just kind of stick it in there and then try to move the bottom of it, and then you know if you're in the rocker, the roller or not. Okay, all those fit. Okay, now let's just drop our distributor in there. Just make sure. We're not going to time it or anything right now. We're just going to make sure it drops in there okay. There we go. And that fits too, so everything's lining up, so shouldn't need any adjustments, so we can go ahead and remove the intake and get our gaskets all ready. Okay, so you got your gaskets all in place, and before you go setting your intake on here, you want to make sure you put some silicone right in all four of these corners where these two gaskets meet up. Put a nice amount on there. Notice a nice bead like that in all four of the corners. Okay? Two in the front and the two in the back. Just like that. And go around each one like that. Mess this up, Trip. Get ready. Stick it in there. Okay, we got all of our intake bolts in, and you just get them hand tight, snugged up first, and then you follow your torque sequence. 25 pounds, torque all the intake bolts on. Make sure you got your distributor installed. That way if it's going to move at all or anything, your distributor will still line up. We're going to start with number 1 over here. And there you have the intake install. So now here comes the fun part. You get to pick out what carb you want to match it up with. Put all your chrome accessories on there. Clean up the engine, make it look good. And can't wait to start it up and see what it sounds like with this thing on there. This video helped you guys. Now please like and subscribe to my videos and see what's coming next.